Good morning, everyone. My name is Praveen Sinha, and I'm here on behalf of Indian Americans of Irvine and Orange County. We are a bipartisan group which is focused mostly on policies and not political party. Joining me today is Ms. Carrie O'Malley, who is a candidate for Irvine City Council position. She is serving as District Director and Senior Policy Advisor in California State Assembly District. She has also worked as Senior Policy Advisor at Orange County Board of Supervisors, California District Attorney Office, and was a government affairs rep at Orange County Transit Authority. Welcome, Ms. O'Malley. I'll start by introducing you to our community, the Indian Americans of Irvine and Orange County. The community mostly consists of immigrants from India who came here to study, just like me, or on H-1B visa, working in the IT and related sectors, or their children who are first-generation immigrants. 2/3 of these members are college educated, and Indian Americans have the highest household income among all immigrant groups. There are approximately 10,000 families in Irvine and Orange County. So before we get started, would you like to say something about yourself that our members need to know?
Thank you. I just want to thank the group very much for having me today. It's an honor to be here, and it's my pleasure and privilege and honor to be running for the City Council. So thank you for having me. As I was introduced, my name is Carrie O'Malley, and I'll give a little bit of background about myself. I was born and raised in the Los Angeles area. I am the daughter of an immigrant, as was in my bio. My dad we are of Armenian descent, as was stated, and he came here when he was 14 years old and resided in the East Coast, and then moved to Los Angeles to have his orthodontic practice and worked very hard. So I was raised with a strong work ethic. Education was very important to our family, strong work ethic, dedication, commitment. So that's how I was raised from an very early age. So I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, Sherman Oaks to be exact. And my whole high school career, I knew I wanted to do public service and public policy. I just really had a knack for helping people and being involved with my community and using my talents and blessings to help others. So in high school, I was very involved with volunteer work. Then I went on to college at University of California, Santa Barbara, where I majored in philosophy and law and society. I had 2 BAs, 2 majors, and my philosophy degree focuses on ethics and public policy. So you mentioned transparency, and that is what I stand for, what I have studied, what I am working towards. So I did focus on philosophy and law going in college. Then I decided to go to law school. I went to Harvard Law School, where I studied very hard. Knew in my heart I did not want to practice law. I knew that after law school, I wanted to go into public policy and help others and do public service. In college and in law school, I was very involved with community activities, volunteer work, everything from court-appointed special advocate, where I was an advocate helping abused and neglected children through the court system and helping them navigate their way. I've also been very involved politically with the public policy side, the legislation side. So I worked for the Attorney General's office, the District Attorney's office, and I even had an internship at the United States Senate, where I stayed at Georgetown University and worked at the United States Capitol on the Committee on Governmental Affairs. And a lot of what we did was look into the laws and, like we talked about, transparency and ethics. So this has really been a big issue in my life of importance, to always be transparent, always be ethical. From law school, I moved back to the Southern California area, where I resided in Los Angeles for a while, and then moved to Orange County. So when my husband and I got married 23 years ago, I moved to Orange County. We decided to reside in Irvine, and we purchased our home in North Park eventually. And so I'm an original homeowner here in North Park, where I've been elected to my homeowners association. I've served 6 years on the homeowners association as vice president. So we are a large village, as many of you know, of 1,600 homes. And I ran because I wanted to give my time and talents back to the community and to be the voice of my residents here in Irvine, my neighbors, and help my neighbors and the residents of Irvine in whatever way I could. Professionally, when we moved to Irvine, I started working at the Orange County Transportation Authority, as was stated in my bio, in government relations. And so I would work very hard on state legislation, on making sure our transportation was running smoothly, and working with city council members, the board of supervisors, and our community to make sure that happened. So I have a wealth of background in public policy and laws and legislation. After OCTA, I moved to the Orange County Board of Supervisors, where I worked for almost 5 years there as a senior policy advisor. And I focused on many different issue areas, but predominantly I focused on public safety, making sure our communities were safe, and also on transportation. On the public safety side, I worked with the Sheriff's Department, I worked with the District Attorney's Office, and I worked with all of our police chiefs throughout the county to make sure we keep Orange County and Irvine the safest city in the whole nation. So worked very hard on that. From the Orange County Board of Supervisors, I went on to work at the California State Assembly again. And my capacity there is I'm district director for our district of Irvine and the surrounding cities. And I also work on legislation, public policy, and community efforts. So I'm always talking and working with residents, making sure we help people, that we represent people to the best of our ability. And that's and my days doing both professionally and personally. Also on the kind of philanthropy side or giving back side, like I said, I'm very involved in public service. I continued to be a CASA advocate when I moved back to Orange County. I continued to help abused and neglected children through the court system and make sure their voices were heard and that they navigated through the court system. I also became a member of the Junior League of Orange County, where we help many nonprofits. We help people that are struggling. We help a multitude of different nonprofits throughout Orange County. So I have done that for 22 years with the Junior League of Orange County. I also have served as chairperson of the Irvine Transportation Commission, which I was appointed a few years back, and I served for 2 years as the Irvine Transportation Commissioner and chair of the commission, and was really able to utilize my public policy background and my transportation background to help the residents of Irvine, and very much enjoyed doing that and helping people. After that, like I said, I've been very involved with different philanthropy, different public service efforts, and continue to do so. I also sit on the Joyful Child Foundation board, and in that board, we represent children, we help children, and we try to prevent any crimes. We try to make sure that our cities are top-notch in public safety. So we really advocate for child safety and family safety. So I've been working very hard as a board member on the Joyful Child Foundation as well. And there's many other capacities I've served in, like I said, on the HOA, on the commission, and I'll continue to bring my work ethic and my perseverance and dedication to the city council. Like I said, it would be my honor and my blessing and privilege to serve each and every one of you every day on the Irvine City Council. I would do my best. Like I said, I have a very high work ethic, very dedicated, and look forward to serving everybody on the city council. With that, I'll turn it back to you, and I'd love to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Gary, for that good introduction. You definitely have a wealth of experience and a dedication to this area of public service. So that is very nice. But as I mentioned, we believe in full transparency. So I would like you to elaborate a little bit, few things here. I know you told me that you are independent. Our group has got both Democrats and Republicans and independents, so it will not be held against you. But if you can just clarify those experiences that you have had before, if there were political appointments, who was the person who appointed you and what was their party affiliation? Nothing will be held against you. We just want to know what your past experience have been in full disclosure. So for instance, in the OC Board of Supervisors, you held a senior policy advisor position. Can you just elaborate whom you worked for? And same thing for the DA office and the rest. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And so just to clarify, so I'm a registered Republican. However, when I'm running for city, I'm running as a nonpartisan because it's a nonpartisan race. So I am not partisanizing anything for local government. I really want to stick to the fact that it needs to be independent, it needs to be nonpartisan. So for this race, everything is nonpartisan, independent. However, I'm a registered Republican, just like you said, full disclosure and transparency. I have always been a moderate. I have always been, let's work with both sides, let's listen to each other, let's get things done, and let's collaborate. Because we need to collaborate, we need to be a team in order to get anything done. If people dig their heels in and say, no, it's only one way or the other, nothing will ever get done. So I have always been a moderate. I have always been able to work with both sides of the aisle. And I'm really not partisanizing anything for the city council race because it's supposed to be independent and nonpartisan. However, like you said, for full disclosure, I'm a registered Republican. When I worked at the Board of Supervisors, I was in the 3rd district and I was working for Todd Spitzer, who is a registered Republican, but now is at the district attorney's office, which also district attorney is nonpartisan and independent.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I think this is helpful. And as I mentioned to you, we have all kinds of people in our group, and we do not hold people responsible for party they affiliate with. We hold them responsible for the positions they hold. So that's where things will go. And that's, I think, where we will be more interested in knowing about you. So I will start by talking to you about the questions that I gave you. So yeah, we have got 15 minutes into the program. Okay, good. So the first 2 questions are regarding transportation and traffic and new construction and home values. I think the 2 are related. That's why I'm putting the 2 together. There are some candidates in the race right now who have made a big deal about overbuilding in Irvine. They have made and the related effect is bad traffic conditions in Irvine. And I know you have been part of OCTA. So I think we'd like to hear a little bit about you. What is your position on that? Are we building too much? And how are we handling the crowding issue that is happening in Irvine? We are sort of lucky right now that COVID has made everything mellowed down. But I remember, 6-8 months ago, this was a lot of areas in Irvine were a nightmare situation. So please expand, keeping that 8 month ago situation in mind.
Thank you. So I have a campaign flyer that I can give also to your group after this call. I can email it to you. And you brought up some very good points. One of the items on my campaign flyer talks about the master plan and protecting open space and not overdeveloping. So I believe it's very important. When I moved here to Irvine 23 years ago with my husband, we wanted to move here, raise our family. We have 2 teenagers. We've raised them here. We've been involved with all aspects of the city. When we moved here, however, our city had 150,000 population. Now we have 280,000 population, almost 300,000. So before we would drive down Jamboree or drive down these streets and roads, and they were open roads. I even remember driving to the OCTA. I would drive down Jamboree and it was wide open with just a little wood partition between the 2 sides of Jamboree. And now it's the 261. So, I mean, it's very eye-opening to look at this population explosion and development explosion that has occurred even over the past 23 years. So on the city council, I think it's very important that we stick to the master plan, that we don't allow any change of the master plan, which means we cannot allow overdevelopment. I am against overdevelopment. We need to make sure we abide by the master plan. The whole point of having the master plan was so that Irvine would not get overdeveloped. And this would keep Irvine beautiful open spaces and beautiful parks and recreation and not have overdevelopment. So when I'm on the council, I will make sure we abide by the master plan, that we do not have overdevelopment, that we stick to the provisions that were initially laid out in the master plan, and that we retain our open space. We have to protect our parks, our nature, our trails, and our beautiful open space for years and years to come.
Can you talk a little bit about the transportation situation, overcrowding that we already have? Even if we halt the growth at this time, traffic is not good. And the biggest disappointment came when the roads that they built are horrible. In this whole Woodbury area, the new construction took place. I can only speak for Woodbury, but I won't be surprised if the things are same in other places also. Huge bumps in the road.
Mhm.
How are we going to hold these contractors responsible who did the construction, got millions of dollars from the city, and left us with basically horrible conditions to drive on? I mean, I will advise you to just drive on Trabuco between Sand Canyon and Jeffrey, and the same stories inside Woodbury. And this is very new, less than 1 year ago.
Thank you. So we definitely need to hold those contractors accountable. And when I'm on the council, I will do so. I have driven those roads. I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are big issues. When I'm on the council, I will make sure that we hold these vendors accountable, that we actually build into the contract a provision that protects us as residents, as citizens here in Irvine, saying this work needs to be done correctly. If there's any problem, they need to come back and fix it on their dime, not on the city dime. When we enter a contract, we expect it to be done correctly, and I will make sure that those vendors are held accountable. Also, you brought up a good question about transportation and traffic. For instance, Portola and Sand Canyon, there's the large trucks at all hours of the day. You never know when they're coming and going. We need to have an ordinance in our city that would say only between these hours can the trucks go and come up and down Portola and Sand Canyon. This is very dangerous for motorists, for bicyclists, pedestrians. So we need to have some kind of rhyme or reason, not just any time of the day is a line of trucks. There needs to be some provision or some outlining of what times of the day would this be allowed. So, because I think, like you said, this is getting worse and worse, and we need to protect our residents, our children who are on bicycles, our pedestrians, people that are out jogging and driving their cars. So that's one item I will also look at when I'm at the city council. You also asked about traffic, and this is a topic I like to talk about because I have a lot of solutions for transportation. One is that I have something I brought to the Transportation Commission when I was a commissioner, and it got voted unanimously. I spent a lot of time writing this memo, brought it, got a unanimous vote. Now, when I'm back on the council, because I'm no longer a commissioner, but when I'm back serving on the council, I will make sure to regenerate this memo sure it happens. And that is called left-hand turn elongation, which I created the idea, brought it to the council and the commission. It was adopted unanimously. What that is, there's many left-hand turn arrows throughout Irvine. And what you'll find, we've all experienced it, two things can happen. One is you're trying to get into the left-hand turn pocket, but you cannot get there because the general purpose lane is so crowded that it blocks your entrance into the pocket. So you're watching the green arrow turn green, but you can't make a left turn, even though the pocket is wide open, you can't get in. The converse of that happens as well, where the left-hand turn pocket is so full of cars that it, quote, bleeds out, is a term I expressed, bleeds out into the general purpose lane going straight. So then it backs up the cars that are trying to go straight. They have the green light, but they cannot go because the left-hand turn pocket, left-hand turn cars are bleeding out into the general purpose lane. So what I brought to the commission was we need to elongate these left-hand turn pockets, and I went through the city and I specified which ones were the worst. And all we have to do is substitute concrete with concrete. So we just elongate it a little bit, but make it into a longer pocket rather than just a concrete island. And these are locations where there are no trees. We don't need to, take out any nature. It's just concrete for concrete. And this would alleviate so much traffic in our city because there's so many instances of this. So when I'm on the council, I will bring back my idea for left-hand turn elongation in specified high trafficked areas throughout the city. And I think you'll find that that would be a huge help. We also worked very hard on signal synchronization throughout the city. We still need more to do on that, but when I was on a commission, we did quite a bit. We worked with Caltrans, but we can do even more, and I will do that when I'm on the council. I want to partner with OCTA. I want to bring a program to Irvine, which is called the OC Flex. And what that is, it's like an Uber minivan. It fits 6 to 8 occupants. And they already piloted it in Mission Viejo and Huntington Beach. And it worked very well. For $5 a day flat rate, you can utilize the OC Flex for rides throughout the city or in adjacent cities. And it's like an Uber. You just download the app on your phone and you're able to book your ride. So I will bring that to the city of Irvine. I will work with OCTA so that this would be an option as well. And then always, we want to make sure our trails are updated, are kept nice so that people that want to use transportation via bike or via pedestrian are also able to do that, what we call active transportation, which is very important. So all these together, I will work hard on the Irvine City Council to help alleviate traffic and bring these ideas to the city.
Thank you very much for that. I know these are some solutions that you just proposed, but I think to really solve the problem, we'll need a comprehensive plan. I know we had consultants hired in the past. I have no idea what those consultants achieved, if anything. So, this has to be a more comprehensive solution other than, a few things here and there. So I'm glad that you're committed to it, but I hope that we will sort of get this thing resolved. At least we looked at seriously because the problem has not gone away. And if that is your expertise or that's your cup of tea, I think that's a very good thing for us. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question, which a lot of our members have brought up. I think I have briefly mentioned to you in our private conversations also, and that relates to the issue of some matters that are internal to India. There have been some very activist city councils, which are primarily funded, sometimes even through super PACs, and whose supporters are not usually very opaque, but they have passed resolutions against Citizenship Amendment Act in India. We call that CAA, which was a perfectly legal legislation passed in the Indian Parliament through the due process. But these people have tried to politicize it. Their agenda is a little bit different. We talked about that to our representative candidate, Greg Raths, yesterday as well. It's a serious concern to Indian American community, which is a very peaceful community. And when we find the city council members coming from nowhere start bringing out international issues, which are anti-India, and pass those resolutions. It has happened in San Francisco, Cambridge, Seattle, the typical liberal bastions, that, if I may use that term. But this is a concern to our community, and we want to have a very clear and candid conversation and understanding with you about what is your position on bringing those issues on City Council. So the floor is yours, and we may have some follow-up questions.
Thank you. So I believe that local needs to remain local. So when I'm on the City Council, we need to focus on what we were voted in to focus on, which is local issues, Irvine issues, working with the county, working with Irvine and the adjacent cities. We are not voted in to comment or pass any resolution about international, nor is that our forum. So we need to keep this totally separate. We cannot have these issues being debated or passing any resolution at the City Council level. So I am against having any resolution that is an international resolution or international issue brought to the City Council. We need to focus on what we are voted to the City Council for, which is the local issues, the traffic, public safety, open space, education for our children, and making sure the quality of life is top-notch here in Irvine. We are not voted in to comment or put any resolution forth regarding international issues. So I will make sure that we stick to local issues only when I am on the City Council.
So we have full assurance from you that if anything like that is even brought up, you will not even table it for discussion. You will just put it away. Even you won't even entertain a discussion in the City Council on that.
Correct. I will not entertain a discussion.
Okay, that's very reassuring. You might have some follow-up questions on that, but I will leave it at that. I think you have said that in no uncertain terms that this will not happen under your watch.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So having get that out of the way, let's move on to some other issues that have been brought up. One is the issue of homeless problem. We have seen homeless people moving into Irvine area on and off, and the problem is very big in the LA area. And we know if not much is done, some kind of a seeping happens here, and we see homeless people in Orange County and Irvine as well. So do you have any thoughts on that? Any plans on that? How will you handle it? Because it does affect the quality of life for people who live in Irvine.
Correct. So I am against any homeless shelter in Irvine. No homeless shelter in Irvine. I know a couple years ago, the Board of Supervisors was trying to put a homeless shelter at the Great Park. I'm very much against that, and I will make sure that when I'm on the council, that does not happen, that we do not have any homeless shelter in Irvine. As far as like your problem is growing, what do we do? I think we need to work with the surrounding cities and the county, maybe form a JPA, which is a Joint Powers Authority, to discuss the solutions and see what can be done. So maybe if there's an unincorporated area in the county, up north, northern Orange County, unincorporated, maybe there's a place there that all the cities can get together and formulate a plan for wraparound services to help the homeless in an unincorporated area where they might have services and job training, rehabilitation services. But again, working with the county and the adjacent cities, and if that's needed, to do it in an unincorporated area, but not in the city of Irvine.
Okay, thank you. The next is a slightly different question, which is about illegal immigration and Irvine becoming a sanctuary city. Whatever you can say, what your views are will be helpful.
So as you mentioned in my bio, I mentioned my dad is an immigrant. I'm the daughter of an immigrant. And he and his family, they worked hard. They got here, they worked hard, and they, with their jobs and their education, and very hardworking, very hard work ethic. I think that we cannot have a sanctuary city. We need to abide by the laws. We need to make sure that we abide by the laws, but we can sanctuary city in Irvine.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next one, which has been a hot issue recently in the light of these protests following the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. There have been a lot of calls in a lot of cities, and a lot of prominent politicians have come for that, is basically defunding of police. And sometimes when they don't talk about defunding, they talk about changing the structure of the police department, or taking action that the police resources are significantly diminished, even though within the police department. So I would like to get a sense of your position on that. And yeah, I'll leave it on that, at that.
So I have a very good relationship with our police department and with the police chief. And I've been, like I mentioned in my bio, I have worked with the police chiefs and the sheriff's department at the county level for decades. And public safety is one of the top focuses when I'm on the council. I think we need to provide the police with the resources they need. I do not believe in defunding the police. I say no to that. I believe that we need to give the Irvine Police Department the resources they need to continue being the best police department in the nation. We are the #1 for safest city in the whole United States for 15 years now, and I will continue that while I'm on the council. In order to continue that, we need to provide the police with the appropriate resources that they need. We need to work with them, and we need to make sure that our city remains the safest city. So I do not want to defund the police. No, for defunding police. And I want to make sure that the police have the resources that they need to continue being the safest city. I will work with them, and I will continue what I can do every day, doing my best to make sure we're the top rated first in safety for the United States.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think sometimes we don't need to fix something that is not broken. And I think most of the citizens of Irvine feel that we have an excellent police department, and we just don't want to lose it in the light of the events that are happening far away from us. Thank goodness we don't have those issues.
Side note to that, if I can, our police department is a role model for other police departments. We have handled things appropriately. We've always been the standard, the role model for others. So I think there is no issue at all. If anything, our police department has done a top-notch job resolving things the way that they should, and really being a role model for other police departments.
Okay, thank you. The next one, I think I'm going to change the order a little bit. I had talked to you about the members, not only in our group, but in other groups also have shown a strong desire for our community to have a center. So I'd mentioned to you about having a community center for Indians. So I hope you have given some thought to it. Do you have anything to say on that, or how can you help us in that regard?
I love,
Just to complete before, I'm sorry for interrupting you. There are about close to 10,000 or 12,000 Indians here. So the community is quite large. It's a very well integrated, at the same time, very distinct community, like the way Armenians are.
yeah,
So I think given our size, I think the community feels there's a need. So I'll leave it at that for you. Yeah.
thank you. I love this idea, I have to say. Like I said, I'm born and raised in the Los Angeles area, and we had a few Armenian centers in different parts of Los Angeles. And growing up, we were so active, and we got to know other Armenian families, and we welcomed everybody, and I brought friends, and other friends brought friends. And so also it's good for the whole community, because then people that weren't even of Armenian descent got to know about Armenian culture. And it was just so wonderful to integrate everybody and be inclusive. So I absolutely wholeheartedly want to help you get the Indian American Center here in Irvine. I love your idea. Some of my topics of my campaign is leadership for all of Irvine. That's our slogan. And then it says inclusivity, kindness, and respect. And in order to really develop that throughout our city is to have things such as this Indian American Center would be fabulous. And so I would actually support it. And more than that, I would like to help you achieve that in Irvine. Like I said, I have the experience because in Los Angeles, growing up, we had Armenian centers, and I know how that works, how they get up and running. My dad was very involved. Our family was very involved. So I would help your community and get that set up and running and have it just be a wonderful addition to our city. So absolutely, and I'd love to support and make that happen.
Okay, thank you very much for that. There was also a question that was raised by some people, which I'm not 100% sure others can fill it in. Recognition of Indian festivals. We have a lot of Indian festivals which are very inclusive, very fun-oriented, like Diwali and Holi. And they cut across literally a very large spectrum of individuals. And wherever we have these large Indian communities, we involve others as well. So we like the City Council to recognize some of these festivals as festivals of inclusivity and good for the overall citizens of Irvine. So we would like to work with you on that as well. So I will I don't see any problem with that, but if you have any issues, you can let me know.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'd love to work with you on that.
Okay. So I think the only thing that is left in this is, do you have any new programs that you're proposing?
Thank you.
Especially if they're big ticket items. So we want to know that.
Thank you, I do. And I'll also get you this flyer as well, okay, which some of those programs. Items I want to initiate when I'm on the council is an ethics commission, Irvine Ethics Commission. We desperately need this for our city. So Los Angeles has an ethics commission, San Diego, Long Beach. We are a large city and we need an ethics commission. So one of the items I have been talking about on my campaign is bringing an ethics commission to Irvine and making sure that we have transparency in government, that we work with the whole city, all the residents, inclusivity, kindness, respect. And that is what the Ethics Commission will do. We will we'll have this wonderful commission. They'll be able to vet any issues that any resident has. And it's just so, so important for a city as large as ours to have this type of ethics commission. So with my background in ethics and public policy, I will bring this to the city, and I'm very excited about doing that. Another item I'm bringing to the city, and it's not just because of COVID, but it should be all the time, is really highlighting healthcare advocacy and education for our residents. I feel that we need to partner with our healthcare providers. We have wonderful hospitals, UCI, Hoag, all these hospitals and wonderful healthcare available in our city and adjacent cities. So we really need to utilize them and have them as a resource to the residents here in Irvine. So I'll work very hard to partner with the healthcare advocates and really get that information to residents to help prevent any health problem before it occurs, and also give information, educational events, and just updates to the residents so it's ongoing, not just during COVID time, but all the time. We can have forums on different health-related issues and really be a service to the residents. So I'll be working very hard on that as well. I've already talked a little bit about my transportation ideas that I will be bringing, and I've talked about my public safety ideas, but also just the education and the recreational opportunities for the youth, but all for all ages. I will be working very hard to make sure we retain the top-notch level of education here in Irvine with innovative learning and cutting-edge learning. Anything that's new and innovative, we will bring to Irvine, and I will work hard on that. Really having conferences, everything here in Irvine available to our residents, as well as those recreational opportunities.
Okay, just to get a little bit of a clarification, some people, based on the comments we have gotten in our forum, is whenever you create forums or bodies to regulate, they can become a huge bureaucracy in their own way. So I hope that what you're proposing is not going to become a part of a much larger bureaucracy in the city of Irvine. So I'm sure you've thought about it, and if you want to say a few more things about this ethics commission, and let me give one more question. Do you really think that Irvine has a problem? Do we think we have a lot of issues in Irvine that ethics commission is really needed?
So I think that it would not be bureaucratic. It would not be a big bureaucracy. We have a lot of commissions already. We have Transportation Commission, Finance Commission, Planning Commission, Community Services Commission. So it would just be one of those commissions. We would just add another commission, and it would not be overly bureaucratic or anything like that. We're not looking at hiring staff, nothing like that. No, this is a volunteer basis, just like all these other commissions. And it would solely only operate if and when there were an ethical question. So it may not even meet all the time because there might not even be anything to meet about, but it's important to have, because if there is some, we need to have it vetted. So in 2018, for instance, I was the first runner-up out of 12 candidates, and I was winning all night, and then the next day by 1%, it shifted, so I became the first runner-up out of 12. And when they did the appointment process, a lot of people came to the council, and it was actually really tough to watch because residents came from everywhere and everybody had a different opinion about the appointment because it was 3 months later. Now, we do have an ordinance on the books that said if it happened in November, I would be the council person because they take the runner-up, which makes logical sense. And we also have a law that states that. However, it happened 3 months later. It happened in March because Don Wagner got elected in a special election to the Board of Supervisors. So the vacancy happened 3 months later. And so we have something in law called the spirit and intent of a law. And so myself and others were saying, well, the spirit and intent of that law states you need to take the runner-up because that's who the people voted for. I had almost 20,000 votes and put them in the, appoint them to the vacant position. However, the council chose to appoint someone that did not have one vote of the voters. And a lot of people were very upset. And I was saying it should be the runner-up, even if the runner-up wasn't me. Whoever the runner-up is, we need to abide by the will of the voters. And rather than that, they appointed someone that didn't have any votes, not even one, compared to myself, who had nearly 20,000, and other people who had 17,000, 16,000. So I think a lot of people that's something that would have gone to the Ethics Commission. Another issue is some of these other heated issues that keep coming to the council. They could go to the Ethics Commission, you know, instead of having to go to the council, and that becomes bureaucratic because then the same issues are spending time of city staff, council members, when if it's an issue that needs analysis, it could just go to the commission. So rather than spending a lot of resources, we can have a commission, maybe even just a couple times a year something comes up.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's a personal issue for you, but just wanted to get a clarification on that. I think we are running short on time, so I need to move on to the questions from the audience right now. So I'll start with the very first one. Can we remove toll on 133 and 261 and open those highways till Portola exist? That way, load on Sand Canyon can be lightened a little bit and in that area. Is that possible?
So remove the toll going on to the 241 and the 133.
261 and 133. Is that correct?
261 and 133. in order to do, what was that again? In order to,
Reduce the load on the city roads.
oh, okay. So remove the toll. Well,
Yeah.
we can definitely work with the TCA. The TCA is the toll road agency, and I actually know them well. And we can definitely work with them to see what options might exist. Now, some of those options may be a little ways down the line, because I know that when they built those toll roads, they had to sign for bonds and other things that allowed them to build those roads. And so they entered into contracts for financing that are independent of our city. They have to just do like with private thing and bonds and whatnot that they did at the state level. So we would need to work with the TCA, the toll road agency, and see when do those contracts expire. And then when they're able to open that question up, we should be able to work with them to see what we can do to alleviate those tolls. Right now, they're probably in a bound contract, I would think, with the financing that they entered into. However, I would definitely be happy to work with them after that contract expires to see what options we could have to do that.
Okay, sounds good. There's another question which came from Mr. Gaurav Bhargava. It says, anything you can help to support small businesses in Irvine? Most of them are hurting at this time. So can the city council do anything, because COVID has really hit a lot of small businesses in a very major way?
That's a great question. And I've been talking to a lot of folks about this. So when I'm on the council, I will start the Small Business Advisory Committee. It will be a committee that I bring to the council, and it's going to be a volunteer committee, but it will be comprised of small business owners, because I want a liaison. I want to talk with them and see what we can do for the small business committee. Already I'm doing that on a daily basis as a candidate. And even prior to being a candidate, we have a lot of friends, neighbors who own small businesses. So I've been really trying to see what we can do to help. One idea I also have is to have SBA loans made more available to several of the small businesses here in Irvine. And I do have a relationship with SBA because of my work at the state. So I want to work with them in partnership and see what loan programs we can bring to the city, and even some grant programs we can bring to the city to help the small businesses get back on their feet and continue to thrive past COVID. We really need to work with our small businesses, partner with grant options, SBA, other state and local options for financing and funding, and see what we can do to help. But I think having the Small Business Advisory Committee is something that I want to bring and really partner and do my best to help small businesses.
Yeah, it may take a little bit working with our wine company, because I was looking at the CARES Act and the provisions in that, and the amount of the requirements for getting those subsidies at the national level don't even touch at Irvine. The rentals and everything is so much higher, and incomes are also to some extent higher that they don't benefit from that. So I think some intervention from the city council, along with working with the Irvine company, will be needed to help the small business that are hurting at this time. Okay, I have one more question here from Mr. Sanjay Kalra. Is saying, what is your position on birthing homes and Airbnb short-term rentals? And because you have been a member of HOA, you probably know these issues better. It is a problem. A lot of people find that that's a very serious nuisance and distraction. So what is your position in terms of, because these birthing homes are a short-term rentals, and we know what, I hope you're aware of those, right?
So I'm against having the birth homes and the short-term rentals. As you mentioned, I'm vice president on my homeowner association here in North Park, where I'm an original homeowner, and we are very much against it. We have worked hard to stop that in North Park, and I will work hard to stop that at the city level throughout the city of Irvine. Like you said, it's a nuisance. We cannot have this continue, and there are things we can do. We've really held a really strong line on this here in North Park, and thank goodness it's worked, because anytime there was even an issue, we shut it down immediately. And we have to make sure we work with code enforcement, with our permit laws here in the city to make sure that these are shut down, that they do not occur. And there's ways to do that. There's ways to put in even ordinances if we need to, but we have birthing homes and short-term rentals overtake the city. Absolutely not. And so I will work hard to prevent that.
Yeah, I mean, you're an activist, and you know your homeowner association very well. So you were able to stop it. Other communities may not be that active, and they may be surprised to find a nuisance showing up in their neighborhood. So a city ordinance might be needed to fix this problem once and for good. And I think that would be an important step. There's one more question here from Mr. Sanjay Dalal. He's saying, how can we make Irvine a completely green city? Incentivize our residents to use electric vehicles or solar energy?
That's a wonderful question. I love that question. I am very hard on environmental issues. I'm on the subcommittee at the WAVE organization for environmental issues. And so I spoke up about clean energy and clean air at the City Council many times. I've spoken at the Irvine Green Ribbon Committee many times about community choice energy and making sure that our city is a green city and that we do what we can to promote having these green options and environmentally friendly options. So the question again is what we would do to bolster the environmentally friendly ideas. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So I would continue to work as I have been and speak openly and work hard at the council for clean energy and community-based, community choice energy. Really make sure that we, the climate action plan that I spoke publicly 2 times at the council and again at the Green Ribbon Committee, we need to have the climate action plan and not just kind of rubber stamp it, but bring it to fruition. Not just say, oh, we support this, but then really put kind of put the ideas in action and not just have it be words. So I will work very hard at what I've already talked about at the when I spoke publicly at the council and at the Green Ribbon Committee, but I will work hard to put it into action. I am on the council, and that will mean working with partners, working with adjacent cities, but I will make sure that we need to put this into action. We cannot just rubber stamp. We need to show that we want to be an environmentally friendly and thriving city and to bring the green options to the city of Irvine. So I will do that and put it in action when I'm on the council.
Okay. So let me, what about, okay, I think that is, that question is done. Let me see one more question here that I have not looked at. I think I missed it. It says, and you can give your opinion on that, City of Irvine lacks attractive commercial properties and malls. Do you have any ideas on making businesses come to Irvine? Do we need malls in Irvine? And what is your thought on that?
So when you say malls, because I know we have a lot of stores, we have a lot of a lot of businesses, but when you say malls, you mean mall like South Coast Plaza. Is that what you're stating when you say mall?
I think that would be a good example of a mall, yeah.
So I think because we have malls so close, such as Costa Mesa, South Coast Plaza, such as the Main Place Mall, we have them south in Mission Viejo shops. So I don't think we necessarily need a mall in Irvine. And I actually think that that would be counterproductive because since we can drive 10 minutes and be at a mall, in the adjacent cities, by having a mall in Irvine, we would actually be having more traffic in Irvine. And it would contribute a lot to the traffic problem in Irvine. So I think having a mall such as the size of South Coast Plaza or shops at Mission Viejo would actually cause maybe more harm to traffic than the benefit of having the mall. Whereas if we drive 10 minutes in whatever direction, we can be at a mall in another city. So I don't know if we necessarily need the mall. However, if this is regarding how can we bolster business, and I'm chair of the Irvine Taxpayer Association, so I work often with businesses, I work with the Business Council and the Chamber. I absolutely think we have items that would continue to have our businesses thrive. So I think by having the Small Business Advisory Committee and by working with our businesses, we can do that. And we are a business hub. We have major law firms, we have major accounting firms, we have major businesses here in Irvine, and that will continue. And I'm a huge proponent that we have these wonderful businesses. But as far as having a per se mall, like a South Coast Plaza, I don't know if that could be accommodated in our city due to the traffic problem that would probably increase the traffic, whereas we drive 10 minutes in whatever direction and we could be at a mall in another city.
I think the key word is 10 minutes. The traffic conditions have made it so difficult for us to make it in 10 minutes these days. And I think the next question is related to that. What is your opinion about improving local transportation like bus service in the city of Irvine? Do you think that will help reduce the traffic problems? It came from Arundhati Shankaran. Yeah.
Okay, and this is about school buses or just general buses?
Buses in general. I mean, if you have suggestions on school bus, that's not a bad idea either. I mean,
Okay.
hundreds of parents are driving their kids to Portola High School every morning.
Mhm,
If a single bus comes in Woodbury and takes all those children, not
mhm,
single, but maybe 10 buses,
mhm.
it will significantly reduce the traffic.
Right.
Having come to Irvine from East Coast, that is the norm in East Coast. You don't, um, I mean, there could be innovative solutions. I mean,
Mhm,
single stop where parents can drop the children and the buses take them
mhm.
rather than clogging Portola Highway with thousands of cars. Anyway, your thoughts on that?
So for the first question regarding just the general buses, again, I think that right now OCTA did a survey and they were really analyzing their ridership, and it's gone down dramatically through the years, not just during COVID, but even before COVID. The bus ridership was going down and down, just lowering. And sometimes you'd see a bus and there's maybe 3 people on a huge bus. So this is why OC Flex is so wonderful, the program I was talking about before that I'd like to bring to the city of Irvine, because on a minivan, you can fit 8 people. And for $5 a day, you can go throughout Irvine or adjacent cities. And it works similarly to an Uber where you download the app. So I'd like to bring that to the city of Irvine because I think that would really help with traffic congestion. It would help alleviate a lot of traffic problems. And it's a form of public transportation, but in a smaller unit, in an 8-person minivan. Rather than clogging up the streets with large buses that are pulling out and into traffic all the time, which also causes traffic. So I think we need to work with OCTA, see what makes sense, where they did those studies and they were finding the bus ridership was going down, and maybe bringing more innovative solutions such as OC Flex and really bolstering that. So it's the smaller vehicles, which won't cause a traffic jam when they go in and out to pick people up and whatnot at the locations. But they're still serving as public transportation, because I do think public transportation is needed. It's just how will we deliver that? And that's why I think with our times changing and with innovative solutions being brought to the forefront, OC Flex is a perfect idea to provide public transportation in that style. And I will spearhead that on the council. But again, I have a great relationship with OCTA. So I do look forward to continuing to partner with them when I'm on the council to hear what they have to say to give some solutions to public transportation for Irvine. So I'm always really interested in that aspect as well. As far as school buses, I think you made a very good point. Many locations throughout the country do rely on school buses, or at least have it as an option. I think that many parents may still want to drive their child to and from school, but there's some working parents where the school bus might be a great option. And it does also alleviate traffic because it's less cars on the road going to the same location. So I think if we do neighborhood buses and have an option where they may make a stop in Woodbury or make a stop in North Park, and like you said, they might have 2 or 3 stops, and usually these smaller buses are the school buses. They're not the huge buses, but you've seen them, they're smaller. And so people could sign up for their child on that bus, and they might stop 2-3 times in the morning in North Park or Woodbury or wherever the location is in Northwood, and then they'd come back in the afternoon, 2-3 stops per day. So I think something like that does make sense, and we'd have to work with the schools and the parents and see what need is there. But I absolutely think that makes sense and would be very interested and eager to look into it.
Okay, thank you. I think we don't have any more questions now. Neeraj, is that correct?
Yes, I think we are done with the questions.
Okay, so thank you. Well, we have just one thing more to do before we terminate here. Before we go any further, I want to thank you very much for coming. Our guest has been Ms. Carrie O'Malley. She's running for the City Council, and I thank you for taking the time to come and answer the questions we have candidly, openly, and I think that is very important, and we do like your platform of transparency. So thank you for that. But before we go, I want to introduce you to Mr. Gaurav Bhargava. Gaurav, you can turn your camera on, that'd be great. He's the founder of UIAA, and that is a United Indo-American Association. It's a faith-based organization. They do a lot of great things in providing free food to the needy and doing community service. Gaurav has been very active in Irvine for a very long time. So I want to recognize him, and maybe you can talk to him later if you want to after this session is over, and see how you can be helping his organization as well. So Gaurav, do you want to say a few things about how you want to connect with Ms. Carrie O'Malley?
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, for coming in today. I think you spoke really well, and you've got your priorities right in most of the areas. So congratulations on that. We wish you very, very best. And I look forward, the whole organization. I'm not a founder. We are a community, so I don't take any credits. It's just everybody's part of. We have no presidents. We have no secretaries. It's just a mutual organization where we want to support the community and bring some cultural center in the city. Develop like a plan where we could bring all of the families together and make it a small get together of reunions of how we can connect with each other. So we also have an entrepreneur group where we want to support our local friends in the business. So this is few things that we want to do and plan to do, and we are doing. So anything you have questions with us, I'd love to connect with you. You can take my number from Neeraj or Praveen. So anything we can work together, do let us know. And you're more than welcome one of the next few food drives that we do, and how we can serve the community. And it'll be a good introduction for neighboring cities and things like that.
Yeah, we work. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So I would love to connect with you on that, and similar interests that I have to help with food drives and community service, public service. That's what is my passion. So I would love to connect with you on that and help you out.
There is a very major issue that we have about the youth, developing of the youth. So there are certain programs that are going in the school, which we need to educate the kids, bring them all together on a certain platform that they understand what is right and what is wrong. They just pick a lane and go with that just for the namesake. So I want to discuss that because you have two teenagers, and even I have two. I mean, one of them just turned. I have two teenagers as well. So talking to them,
we can follow up on that later, Gaurav.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an important issue what you brought up, and I think we are running short of time. I just want to recognize one more organization, Carrie, which could not be represented here, which is Indian Leadership Alliance. So ILA and our group and UIAA, we work very closely with each other and help each other out in whatever they do. Mr. Deepak Krishan, he is the president of that group. Maybe somewhere along the line, we'll get introduced to him. He's not here today. For some reason, he could not connect. So that's all I wanted to recognize, that the three groups which are working collectively with each other very well at this time. So I think we are done now. So the time is exactly 12:03. 1 hour, perfect. Couldn't say anything better than that. So I want to thank you again, Carrie, for coming here. For all the members who are listening, her name is Carrie O'Malley. She's a candidate for the Irvine City Council. She is Republican by affiliation, by independent by her actions, works closely with both the groups. And so those are the kind of candidates our group likes. So I'm not endorsing anybody, just trying to bring out what is important about you and what is important about us. So with that, we conclude this meeting. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, and all the best. All the best, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.